It is the last game before the Test series, and although I think most of the probables played on Wednesday against the Brumbies, and most of the possibles are going to be playing this Saturday against the AUNZ 15, I still think there is opportunity to make the Test team. And in this video, I'm going to talk through all the team selections, tell you who I think still has a chance of Test selection, and give you my thoughts and predictions on how the game will unfold. Hello amateurs, welcome back to the channel, and I'm going to be here with you throughout the Lions series and beyond, so hit subscribe to follow along. Okay, let's talk about this AUNZ 15. This is the first time this team has played since 1989. What a break that is. So it's great to see this happen again. Two great rugby countries, coming together to play a fixture like this. I think we need to see more of this. We need to see more of these things resurrected. And they've gone strong. In terms of names, they've got 17 internationals in their squad. That is a strong, strong lineup. And we'll get into them after we've looked at the Lions. Lions update. The big worry from Wednesday, and in a very worrisome area, a fullback, was Blair Kinghorn. But he has had a scan and has been cleared. There's nothing untoward in that scan, and they're going to be managing his return to fitness over the coming days. That's reasonably vague. I guess with injuries such as this, there's a lot of unknowns. They don't know exactly how he's going to react to treatment, to further exercise, to more stress. So with that in mind, Jamie Osborne, Leinster and Ireland utility back, really, he can play pretty much anywhere from 12 outwards, is being called up for training. They've mentioned that specifically, so we might not see him on the pitch unless things change, but he's been called up to make sure they've got enough training depth. I think he's a good choice. I think if you're looking at a utility back that's more in the wide areas, then I think he's probably the number one. Tom Jordan would obviously have been another strong pick for that, but I see him more as an inside back. That would be his strengths, I think. So if you're looking for somebody that's wider and potentially fullback, I know Jordan has played fullback, but I think Osborne probably for those reasons is the one that's been selected. Okay, let's look at this Lions team, shall we? That's not the Lions. That's the Lions. Okay, here we go. Okay, and it is much as expected, to be honest. Definitely, this is now the possibles. But as I said at the top, I don't think that any of these guys should really feel like they're completely ruled out, particularly as the Test series goes on. There'll be injuries, all this kind of stuff. So I think they all need a big performance in this game for those reasons. But who do I think has got a genuine opportunity to be involved in the Test 23 next week? And let's start in the front row. I think Will Stewart. I think that tight head berth is really still finely balanced. I think Furlong, after his performance on Wednesday, he was excellent and looking much closer to his best. I think he put a really good, strong foot forward. It's now up to Will Stewart to respond. If he can have a big game, then he's going to make it really tough on the selectors. So I think he's got a good opportunity. In the second row, I think the locks are pretty much nailed down, but Ty Burn is such a good rugby player that if he can find some form as well, then again, it will put question marks on the 5-6 jersey. Is that definitely the way the Lions want to go with Big Joe McCarthy and Ollie Chesham? I think Byrne really needs a big game because he's not been on form as far as I'm concerned this tour. And then the 7 jersey is probably still up for grabs as well. And if you look at this back row, it could be any of them. All these guys have had good outings on tour. Henry Pollock's had some big moments. I think Jack Morgan, in terms of consistency, has probably been the standout of these three. But Ben Earl's carrying in the last game was amazing. He is such a workhorse. And if he finds a little edge, which he often does with his footwork, then he can make a lot of meters. So I think all of these guys know that if they if they go well, then there's potentially a bench spot for sure for maybe 2 of them. And if not, then potentially a start if they don't think Tom Curry's form is quite worthy at the moment. Into the backs, and I think the big one here, certainly the big one is 15. Keenan, illness, injury, has not been on form so far this trip. It was a poor outing for him in the last game by his very high standards. I expect to see him play a lot better in this game. He is a wild competitor and he just goes for everything. So I expect to see a much better performance from him. And I'd say 12 as well. I think it's likely that Farrell would go with a combination that's it's got a lot of connectivity and a lot of history in the shirts together. So I feel like he will go Ireland and Ireland or Scotland. But I think it's Tuipulotu. He's the one that needs to step up because he's not quite at his bristling best. At his best, he is right up there, probably along with Geordie Barrett as the best inside centre in the world. We haven't seen that. And I don't think Aki's been at his best either. Think back to Aki in the Six Nations against England. Like, he was an absolute menace, a physical menace. And he hasn't quite been hitting those straps so far on this tour. So I think 12 is up for grabs. And the potential is there for a cross-country partnership. And if it is, then I suspect it might be Sione and Gary Ringrose might be the one. So we'll see. We'll see with that one. But again, I think the centres there need a big performance because the Irish guys went great against the Brumbies in Canberra. There was a first line start for Ben White at scrum half. Congratulations to him. And if you look onto the bench, I think there's potential here for some guys that have been lined up to be on the bench in the tests and are very much favourites to do so. I'm looking at Van der Fleer. I'm looking at Alex Mitchell. I'm looking at Marcus Smith. I think they are potentially all going to be on the bench for that first test. Also on the bench for this game. Mr. Owen Farrell, first game on this tour. I'm so interested to see what kind of form and fitness he's got. I have no doubt he'll be on the same page as these guys. I've no doubt he'll be up to speed in terms of the calls and the running lines and all the little nuances that the Lions have been trying to put into place. He will pick that up. No time at all. In fact, I'm certain he'll have that. It's just his match sharpness. Will he be able to click into gear? Will he be able to turn that on immediately? Because again, when it comes to test match selection, we know why he's there. He's there to be in and around the squad and to drive standards, but he's also potentially going to be there to be that man in the big pressure situation, to grab hold of a game or kick the winning points. And he needs to play. He needs to play well in this game if he's going to have a chance of being selected in that role. And of course, because of what he can do, because of the positions he can cover, that might well change the makeup of the bench. It might well change the fortunes of a lot of other players if Farrell does get that bench spot. Time will tell. I am so intrigued to see how he goes. I really hope he plays well. I'm a big fan of his and everything he does. So, I hope he goes well. Okay, let's look at this AUNZ team now. As I mentioned at the top, 17 internationals. And if we look at this front five, they have all played against the Lions on this trip. So there's a lot of sort of IP in there. There's a lot of, we know what the Lions are trying to do. You know, they've felt what the Lions can do so far. And if you go into the back row, there is some absolute quality there. Shannon Frizzell, many times capped All Black, an absolute physical beast on the Lions side. You've got Pete Samu there, who's the Bordeaux Begler number 8, a real running threat, pacey, so pacey. European Champions Cup winner this year. And at number 8, you got Hoskins Sotutu. The beginning of last season, or at some point last season, excuse me for not getting the correct timeline, it was him or Wallace Satiti that was going to get into the All Blacks squad. And I'm sure you all know Wallace Satiti went on to have an incredible season for the All Blacks. But these two were really neck and neck. And a lot of people thought Sotutu should have got that spot. So this man is a phenomenal talent. And if the game gets loose, that is a back row that can really do some damage. Into the backs, and there's a load of more big games. Marika is in there. Corin Betty on the left wing. He is an absolute beast, pacey, aggressive, a brilliant Wallaby over the years, one of the Wallabies' best ever players, possibly. And in the centre, a player that I really rate, David Havili there, the Crusader, who's just an absolute class operator. Just seems to have time on the ball, a classic second 5/8. And next to him in the centres, Ngani Lamapi, who really came on the scene in the 2017 Lions tour when he had a huge game for the Hurricanes against the Lions. This man, it looked like a different level of physicality in the centres when he was running the ball up. He is aggressive. Let's put it that way. He is fierce, and I'm very interested to see if he's going to bring all of that again against the Lions in this game. And as we go into the more of the backs there, AJ Lamb, another big physical back. Offloads will be coming from him, I'm sure, if he can get his hands free. So there's a lot of danger in this side that the Lions need to really, really take hold of and look after. There's been a lot of chat that, you know, this potentially will be like a Barbars type game, that obviously this team's been thrown together. They don't have much time on the training pitch. But you know what? This is the first time this team's been picked in 26 years. Those guys will have enormous pride that they've been picked. And I'm sure that they will want to go out and do the best they can for this shirt, this badge, and this team. You know, they won't have the long-standing culture. They won't have all that backdrop that goes with it that sometimes players pull on. But I think we're going to see a team here that's going to fight for everything. Because remember, no matter what team it is, if you get a win against the Taurian Lions, that is a massive scalp. And these guys would love to do that, I'm sure. And I think they're going to, certainly, again, like we've seen all tour, I'm certain we're going to see a very competitive first half at the very least. For the Lions, those players, you know, the possibles, a lot of them, I'm sure, know that they're unlikely to be in the Test 23 next weekend. What is in it for them? Well, if they really are as tight as they seem to be, and it does seem to be a very tight tour, then a win in this game and a good performance in this game just lifts the tour. It keeps the tour momentum going, and it does need some of that because the results have been okay, but the performances have all been a little bit scrappy here and there. There's always things that need to be improved. So I think that if they get a really big win and a big performance, most importantly in this game, then that just lifts the whole tour. It brings everything up. And you want those players that are potentially ahead in the pecking order at the moment to feel that pressure and to feel that swell. So that's what these Lions have got to try and do. And of course, I mentioned this at the top as well. The team, or the 23 that starts a Test series for the Lions, is never the same as what finishes. So if these players can play well in this game, then when those injuries or potential form changes will inevitably occur, these guys will be front of mind. They'll be right in front of Andy Farrell's mind to go in and slip into that Test team and potentially have a huge impact at the end of this series. That's what the Lions have got to be thinking about. That's what they've got to do. And most importantly, they've got to go out and take this game by the scruff of the neck and really imprint themselves on it. I think they'll win. I think this could be a really competitive and fun game, actually. I think this could be a really entertaining match. Alrighty, that's what I think, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Any players in this AUNZ team that you think might have a huge impact? What do you think about the guys that I think have still got a chance for Test selection, even in the 23 or whatever? Is there anyone else that I didn't mention that you think has still got a massive chance? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll join you there for a friendly conversation. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there. If you don't mind, it helps other great rugby fans just like you find it. And you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And do not forget to get out and play.